My name is Maria Jones, and I have been married for 5 years, living with my mother-in-law and husband. My husband's family is neither prestigious nor noble. From my perspective, it's just an old house. However, according to my mother-in-law, if times were different, it would be a distinguished family. Apparently, she desperately wanted me to produce an heir to the Jones family. Yet, even after 5 years, we haven't been blessed with a child. As a result, I feel out of place, treated as less than a housemaid, more like a slave. Then one day, my mother-in-law, my husband, and a woman with a noticeable belly stood before me and said,
"My mistress is pregnant, so divorce me."
"What?"
Oh, didn't you hear? His mistress is pregnant. So you're no longer needed. Go back to your parents' home.
I have no use for a woman like you who can't have children.
Oh, how sad. It's so pathetic to be a woman who can't bear children.
The woman sneered, looking at me with contempt. I couldn't help but think, is this a dream? I pinched my leg. But the pain told me it wasn't a dream. Will had indeed cheated many times before. He probably thought I didn't know, but I was aware of everything. However, if I caused a fuss, I would be yelled at by my mother-in-law.
If your husband cheats on you, it's because there's something wrong with you as his wife. Besides, if a man cheats, it just means he has some capability. A proper wife endures it without complaining.
When Will first cheated not long after our marriage, and my mother-in-law told me that, I cursed the day I married into this family. But Will's affairs would settle down for a while, only to start up again later. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that it's best to leave him be, and I began to numb myself to everything. I thought it would eventually pass this time as well. But here we are.
Once you're gone, Cindy will move into this house. You should hurry and leave.
She's my precious wife who will give me a child. You have no right to complain, do you?
Oh, don't say that. I feel sorry for her. She couldn't get pregnant even though she wanted to.
Cindy, you're too kind. But you see, this woman is utterly useless. She doesn't even want to have children.
What do you mean by doesn't want to have children?
She refuses intimacy. We haven't been a real couple since about a year after we got married.
That's a lie. I wanted to have children but couldn't. The problem was, my mother-in-law's room was right next to ours. If we so much as moved, we'd hear her clearing her throat. Even when we thought she was asleep and tried to start something, somehow she always knew and would get up, eavesdropping right outside our bedroom door. What could anyone do in that situation? So I suggested to Will that we go to a hotel to try for a baby. But he said,
Why should a married couple have to go somewhere like that? Don't you think it's a waste of money? Besides, even if we went, I wouldn't be in the mood with you.
Still, there were nights when Will would force himself on me, and I'd endure it, feeling my mother-in-law's presence just next door. Yet, no matter how many nights I endured, I never got pregnant. Will would berate me every month for that.
What the hell? I gave you my seed, and you still can't get pregnant. Another failed month? You're completely useless.
But I don't think you can expect to get pregnant after just one try.
If it works, it works. Your field is bad. You should cultivate it properly.
How does one even cultivate a body? I understand cultivating soil, but how does one do that with a womb? Yet Will yelled at me like that. To make matters worse, whenever my mother-in-law heard from him that another month had passed with no success, she would say,
You can't even cook properly. Your cleaning leaves dust behind. And now you can't even have children? At this rate, the Jones family will die out. Marrying a woman like you was a real mistake.
and she would scold me alongside Will. And so 5 years have passed. By now, their words no longer hurt me. No matter what they say, it no longer causes me any significant pain. Perhaps that's because I've completely emptied my heart. In the past, I thought I was to blame, but when I realized that this situation was hardly my fault, I stopped torturing myself. Maybe it's because I came to that realization. At one point, my husband said to me,
You know, I don't see you as my wife anymore. I can't be with you when I want to, and you're more like a housekeeper than a woman. So, do we even need to sleep in the same room? Why don't you just sleep in a corner of the kitchen?
My mother-in-law laughed out loud at this and delightedly agreed. Perhaps it was then that a seed of hatred began to sprout in my hollow heart.
You must be infertile. What a waste of time, spending all those years as a couple with a woman like you.
But now Cindy is pregnant. Our family's future is secure.
Indeed. Will is the rightful heir to this family after all. I always wondered why he married a woman like you, but now he's doing what's right for the family.
Come on, Maria, sign the divorce papers already.
Thinking about how I've wasted my precious time on people like this truly makes me feel pathetic. It was a waste of time for you, but it was a waste for me too. And after 5 years, when our marriage should have deepened the bond between us, it's clear our bond is like a rotten thread. If I sign these papers, it will all be over. But is that really okay? Will I have no regrets if I let it end without doing anything? Of course, the answer is no. All right, I'll divorce you. But in return, you need to prepare $50,000 in alimony.
What? $50,000?
Yes, considering everything that's happened, that much is only fair, don't you think? Especially since you're divorcing me after cheating.
What kind of woman are you? You're choosing money over my son?
Well, should we not get divorced, then? I'm fine with that too.
If you don't, you'll be a housekeeper for life.
In that case, that child won't be recognized as part of this family.
You're a worthless wife right to the end.
Say whatever you like. If this had been the old me, I would have been hurt by your words, but now I feel nothing.
Fine. I'll prepare the $50,000 for you. What a horrible woman you are.
The feeling is mutual. These past 5 years with you have been nothing but unpleasant. Oh, and one more thing.
What is it now? Just sign the papers already.
I'll sign after I receive the $50,000. But are you sure that child is really yours?
What do you mean?
Well, didn't you have mumps before we got married? I heard you had a high fever. I overheard you and your mother talking about it, wondering if your fertility was affected by the fever. So, do you even have viable sperm? Maybe that's why I couldn't get pregnant.
What nonsense. You couldn't get pregnant because you're infertile.
That's right. I did have a fever, but it doesn't mean I lost my fertility. I couldn't have.
But your mother seemed quite worried, didn't she? You tried to keep it from me, but I've always found it hard to believe that a fever could be responsible for infertility. But after researching it, I found that it's actually possible. So, are you sure that child is yours?
Of course it's mine. Don't accuse me of something like that.
Exactly. The fact that a child has been conceived proves that Will is fertile. Sure, some people lose their sperm after a fever, but that doesn't mean Will is one of them.
The reason we couldn't have kids is because of you. There's no other explanation.
That's right. Don't blame Will for your own failures.
Now that Cindy is pregnant, it proves that I'm fertile.
You can always check to see if the child is really yours.
You're just trying to make us anxious. What a vile woman.
I'm not trying to cause anxiety. I'm just saying it's a possibility.
There's no such possibility.
That's right. There's absolutely no need to check. I know better than anyone that this is Will's child.
Besides, you can't check these things until after the baby is born.
That's not true. You can do a blood test from the mother even at this stage.
You're just trying to make us unhappy. This child is the rightful heir to this family.
Is that so? Well, if you're sure, that's fine. I just thought I'd warn you before it was too late.
How do you even know something like that?
Women's intuition.
You're basing all this on intuition?
Oh, intuition is not to be underestimated. After all, I knew every time Will cheated on me. So, who's to say that woman doesn't have another man as well?
Don't say such rude things. Will is the only man for me.
Exactly. Cindy only loves me.
Is that so? Well, Cindy may only love Will, but Will doesn't love only Cindy, does he?
Don't be ridiculous.
What? Will, do you have another woman besides me?
Don't believe her nonsense. You're the only one for me. This is all just her delusion to break us apart.
That's right. Will would never do such a thing.
Oh, really? A man who cheated on his wife is now suddenly going to stop at just one mistress?
Shut up! Get out of here!
You're just jealous because his mistress got pregnant. You don't want the divorce, so you're trying to make us nervous.
You don't even want to hear my warning, huh? Fine. After all, we were married for 5 years, so I thought I'd at least give you that warning. But if you won't listen, you'll find out when the child is born.
Stop saying ridiculous things without proof.
Proof, huh? Yes, that's right. It's hard to claim anything is true without evidence. Well, I hope you'll be happy. Once the $50,000 is transferred, I'll sign the divorce papers. With that, I gathered my things and left the house. But I was certain. Yes, it was only intuition, but that woman was a notorious flirt. it was highly doubtful that the child was really Will's. And if Will had no viable sperm, that would explain why we never had children. The strange things I'd noticed were starting to form a clear picture in my mind. There was one fact that supported this. I had secretly undergone fertility tests without my husband knowing. The results showed that there were no issues with my body. That means the infertility issue likely lay with my husband. So why was the mistress pregnant? When I thought about that, I realized how strange it was. Still, even if the child wasn't Will's, it didn't matter to me. It wouldn't bother me in the least if the family heir wasn't really of the Jones bloodline. It would only be a big deal for the two of them. Should I just end this with the $50,000 and be done? Can I really bear to watch that family live happily, oblivious to the truth? No. After enduring the humiliation of these 5 years, I won't let them get away with it. Those people deserve to rot in hell. With that thought, I came up with a plan for revenge. About 6 months later, I heard through the grapevine that the mistress had given birth. So, I decided to contact my ex-husband. Congratulations. I heard you had a baby boy.
Oh, thanks. And thanks for signing the papers, too.
You're welcome. I made sure the $50,000 was deposited.
Yeah, that $50,000 really stung, though.
Not that I plan to let you off that easily for just $50,000. So, does the baby look like you?
Yeah, of course. You said he might not be mine, but he's definitely my kid.
Oh, sorry about that. By the way, I sent you a present, so make sure to receive it.
Oh, really? That's kind of you.
Not at all. It's no trouble. Anyway, take care. With that, I hung up the phone. No, it's not trouble at all. After all, it's a grand gift from me. A few days later, I received a call from Will. He said he wanted to meet. As I thought. Smiling to myself, I headed to the cafe where we had agreed to meet. When I arrived, Will was already there, sitting with a cup of coffee in front of him, his expression grim.
What the hell is this about?
He placed a large envelope on the table. On it was written investigation report. Oh. You got it. That's my present for you.
I'm asking you what this is about.
It's exactly what it says. I hired a private investigator because you were so sure the child was yours. I thought you should know the truth.
Are you telling me she really has another man?
The report says so, doesn't it? There are even photos. The photos showed her leaving a hotel with another man, as well as others where they were walking arm in arm, laughing, or embracing. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 men. Incredible, isn't it? She's the woman you chose, after all. I could never imagine having relationships with multiple men, especially while pregnant, and even now.
She was cheating on me?
Why are you so surprised? You were doing the same thing, weren't you? Oh, did you see this part?
What part?
This guy is quite something, isn't he? His wife is a famous chef. Amazing, right? To be having an affair with someone like that. If this comes out, The alimony will be astronomical.
What? Yeah, but since Cindy was the one cheating, she'll have to deal with the alimony, won't she?
True. But there's also this. I placed another envelope on the table, one I hadn't sent him yet. Inside was Will's own investigation report.
What's this? Isn't it the same?
The envelope, yes. But the contents are completely different. This one is about you.
What do you mean?
It details the multiple women you've been involved with during our marriage. I knew, of course, but the problem is that some of them were married. You've been having a wild time with no regard for boundaries. And just like Cindy, you still have ongoing affairs, even though you just remarried and had a child.
I can't help it if women are drawn to me. The world's women want me.
Don't be ridiculous. The real issue here is that, despite all these women, none of them got pregnant.
What? That's because I've always used protection.
Did you use protection with Cindy?
Of course. Wait.
Exactly. You used protection with the other women, and none of them got pregnant. So why did Cindy get pregnant? Was it an accident?
No, that couldn't be it.
That's why I told you during the divorce that she was cheating. But I guess you didn't care, so it doesn't matter now. By the way, I've sent copies of this report to all your other lovers.
Why would you do that?
Because you cheated during our marriage. I have the right to demand compensation. There are 5 women, so even if I ask for $30,000 from each, that's $150,000. Add that to the $50,000 I got from you, and that's $200,000. A tidy profit.
How could you do this?
You destroyed my life. The only reason I didn't say anything back then was because I was enduring it. So, you'll be getting sued for alimony soon, too.
Why?
Because both you and Cindy were involved with people who had spouses. It's only natural that you'd face consequences. And it's especially bad for you, since one of the women is your boss's wife.
If that gets out at work, I'll be ruined.
It's too late. I already sent it to your boss.
You're lying, right?
No, it's the truth. Oh, and about the child. You still believe he's yours, don't you? Even after seeing this report?
What do you mean?
Also, after hearing your talk about protection, do you still believe he's yours? Are you not the least bit suspicious?
I don't know.
That's what I thought. You're finally starting to see the reality. That's why I think you should get a DNA test.
A DNA test?
Yes. Don't you think it's better to know for sure? Especially since your mother is so obsessed with your family's bloodline. If the child turns out to be someone else's, it'll be a huge problem. Better to get it checked and make sure he's really yours.
I guess you're right, but...
What if he isn't your child? Will you still raise him? Legally, he's your child, so you're obligated to, but what will your mother say? All she cares about is an heir with your family's blood.
He's definitely my child. There's no need for a test.
If you believe that, then fine. Legally, he is your child. Legally.
You keep saying legally. What do you mean by that?
It means that even if he's not your biological child, because he was born during your marriage, he's legally your responsibility. You'll still have to support him.
Even if he's not my child?
Yes. The law doesn't care about blood. That's why I suggested testing before he was born, but neither you nor your mother wanted to listen. You were so sure he was yours.
This is insane. But if he isn't mine.
Will's face turned pale. The realization that the child might not be his was finally sinking in, and the anxiety was eating him alive. I took a sip of my cold coffee, a quiet smile playing on my lips. I thought Will would torment himself with his thoughts and eventually descend into his own personal hell. I believed my revenge would end there. But then, he contacted me again.
What should I do?
Oh. What's the matter?
I'm getting alimony claims from all over the place. Since they're all going through law firms, there's no way to escape.
Wow, that sounds tough.
It's all your fault, and now I'm in big trouble.
Oh, it's my fault? Isn't it the fault of your disobedient son?
My son?
Yes, the one that lives below your waist. The one who has no preferences and causes problems with any woman.
No, this wouldn't have happened if you hadn't sent that report to everyone.
Well, I couldn't just let it go and cry myself to sleep, could I? Thanks to being married to you for 5 years, I've learned to be strong.
Damn it. This is all your fault.
Then let's put it this way. Thanks to you, I've made quite a bit of money. How about that?
What do you mean? How about that? Why are you the only one who gets to be happy?
That's simple. It's thanks to you and your involvement with 5 different women.
Why are you doing this?
An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You see, for 5 years, I was nothing more than your housekeeper, your slave. On top of that, I was blamed for everything. Do you really think someone could endure such humiliation and stay quiet? If given the chance to strike back, of course I would. Isn't that only natural?
Why? Did I really hurt you that much?
Yes, you did. How can you not realize that? It's insane that you don't understand.
Mom always said it was only natural to treat a woman like you that way since you couldn't have kids.
You and your mother are both deranged.
Now, I'm being sued for a huge amount of alimony by the husband of one of my mistresses. Cindy's also facing a massive alimony claim. We can't afford to pay all of that.
Too bad for you.
And my boss found out, so I'm on the verge of getting fired.
Well, that's what you get for messing with your boss's wife. That's called reaping what you sow.
It's your fault. If you hadn't told my boss, his family wouldn't have fallen apart.
Are you sure about that? With a wife like that, she was probably doing the same thing with other men. If that's the case, it would have fallen apart eventually. Or maybe her husband would have found a way to keep her under control, but either way, her freedom would have been lost.
None of this would have happened if you'd just kept quiet.
By the way, did you do the DNA test on the child?
Huh. Oh, yeah, we did the DNA test.
So, what was the result?
Yeah, it turns out there's a 99.9% chance he's not mine.
I thought so.
Mom found out and is telling me to get a divorce.
So, what are you going to do?
I can't go against my mom.
You're going to divorce her over something like this?
I don't have a choice. Cindy doesn't do anything around the house, and she never cooks. When there's a decent meal on the table, it's just store-bought food. She leaves the baby with my mom and is always out. Mom's been taking care of the kid, thinking he's her grandchild, but now that she knows she was deceived, she's done with it.
Having heard about heirs and family lineage countless times, I couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph.
So, I've decided to get a divorce.
You've decided to get a divorce. Oh my, did you two actually talk about it properly?
Yeah, we talked it through. I showed her the investigation report and asked her if she was cheating, and whose child it really was. She said she'd made the real father take responsibility but didn't know who he was.
So, you still don't know who the father is?
Yeah. She said that since I wanted an heir so badly, she figured I'd be the perfect person to stick with the responsibility.
Impressive.
What's so impressive about it? She cheated on me.
You've conveniently ignored your own actions, haven't you?
I thought I could get away with it, but she had a copy of my investigation report. You didn't send that to her, did you?
Of course I did. It wouldn't be fair if you had all the cards and she had none, now would it? I made sure to keep things even.
It led to a huge fight. She kept saying, "Why am I the only one being blamed when you were cheating, too?" And she's right.
She is, indeed.
We ended up shouting at each other, calling each other names, and finally decided to get a divorce.
I see. Well, looks like you're in for a tough time ahead.
No, I'll just find another woman. I'm popular, after all. It won't be that hard. I'll find a better woman and have her bear my child.
You're as foolish as ever.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the money.
Money? There's no problem there.
Oh. Why not?
Because we were both cheating. That means we're both at fault for the divorce, so there won't be any alimony claims on either side.
It's not alimony I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
Child support.
Child support?
Who's going to raise the child?
Well, since he's not my biological son, Cindy will have to raise him. I don't want anything to do with that kid.
So you'll be paying child support then?
Why would I pay child support for a child that's not mine?
I told you before, didn't I? A child born during the marriage is legally considered yours. You're obligated to support him.
But we're getting divorced.
Even after divorce, you remain the legal parent. So, you'll have to pay for his upbringing.
But he's not my child.
Take it up with the law, not me. I didn't make the rules.
Cindy's child, made with some random guy, and I have to pay for it? That's so unfair.
If you think it's unfair, why don't you run for office and change the laws? But as things stand now, that's how it is. Complaining won't change a thing.
This is ridiculous.
That's why I told you to get it checked before the baby was born. But you didn't listen, and now look where you are.
Did you know all along?
Of course. I told you it was my intuition. I knew Cindy had other men, and I suspected the child wasn't yours. And it turns out, I was right. I'm quite impressive, aren't I?
If you had told me more forcefully, I might have listened.
You ignored all my warnings. This is your own fault.
Oh God, how much am I going to have to pay? Isn't there a way to avoid this?
There is.
Really? What is it?
Simple. Raise the child together.
That's impossible. Mom won't allow it. She refuses to have anything to do with Cindy anymore.
Oh my, how things have changed.
What should I do, Maria? Help me out. Do something.
You must be joking. Just go ahead and descend into hell like you deserve. After that, Will's mother, panicked by the possibility that he truly might be infertile, ordered him to undergo a fertility test. Reluctantly, Will went for the test, and the results confirmed that he really was unable to have children. That alone was a devastating shock for him, but things only got worse when he was reassigned to a subsidiary company as punishment for having an affair with his boss's wife. Effectively, his career path was derailed. When his mother found out, she went into a frenzy, screaming at him.
Not only are you infertile, but now you've ruined your career by messing around with your boss's wife? What were you thinking?
It's not my fault. She came on to me.
Just because she came on to you doesn't mean you should have gone along with it.
I got swept up in the moment.
And now, on top of that, we have to pay child support for a kid who's not even our grandchild. With your salary cut because of the transfer to the subsidiary, how are we supposed to live? You'd better get a part-time job or something and bring in some money, you useless good-for-nothing.
Will, who was yelled at by his mother every day, eventually became mentally ill and was diagnosed with depression. He could no longer work, and as his mother continued to call him a freeloader, he became a shut-in, never leaving his room. According to what I've heard from neighbors, they could hear Will's mother shouting at him every day. It's become so bad that people feel a bit sorry for him. As for me, after the divorce, I managed to find a new job. I started dating a man I met there, and after 6 months of dating, we got married. Now, I'm 4 months pregnant. I'm looking forward to becoming a mom next spring, eagerly awaiting the birth of my baby. So, how did you like today's story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.